There are 664 homeowners in a similar kind of position who've bought homes since the earthquakes with EQC paperwork saying the repair work is completed and it was either done badly or damage was missed. One lawyer representing some of them says that number is the tip of a much larger iceberg. So if Georgina Hanafin is an example of the on-sold issue, what, I asked EQC CEO Sid Miller, should she do?
I think it is an incredibly difficult situation, John, as you rightly identify. We are, as an organisation, bound by the Act, and I believe the team yesterday went through with Georgie in terms of what, talking through the settlement, and we reach a point with the Act where we get to a cap, and that is, within the legislation is as far as we can go. And what we'll do is, work through with Georgie as we can. We're focused on trying to find a settlement for her, and that's very much that I know, on the forefront of the mind of my team and looking through all the different ways. And I think it's important. This is the sort of case management approach that we were putting in place to work with people like Georgie to, in terms of moving forward to help them understand, talk through the claim, and then look at what is it we can do to help them.
Right, what is it you can do? What is it you can do? Because if you hit cap, she goes to her private insurer. Her private insurer, Vero, and I have seen and read the letter, says EQC's repair work was substandard and it is not their job to remediate it, and the buck stops with EQC. So what does Georgie Hanafin do?
Well, I can't comment on the private insurer stance. That's their position. In terms of the EQC process, what we would do is, where situations like this get raised, we will look at what the problem is. Is it a repair that's failed? Is it new damage that's been found? And we will come in, we will look at that. If it's a repair that's failed, we will look to disregard costs around that repair, so we can take it back to sort of the original state, and then reapply the cap calculation based on that. If it's new scope, we would look at that, but we can only operate within the cap. So, for us, it's like every time somebody reopens this, we will step back in and look what it is that we can do and what the problem is within the constraints of the Act.
So what does Georgie Hanafin do now? I'm still confused as to how Georgie Hanafin finds a solution for this predicament.
Well, we will continue to work with Georgie within within the Act and up to that cap. I mean, I can't do anything more than that in terms of work within that cap. But as we did yesterday, working with Georgie and yourself there supporting her, we will continue to have those conversations, continue to listen to the challenges she's raising, and look at everything that we can do within the cap.
Is the cap problematic? Does something have to be done to make EQC more empowered in these situations to do what it looks like they ought to do, which is put what Vero calls substandard repairs right?
And this is the situation that the Minister is looking at. We as an organisation have to operate within the Act, and clearly this is something that is at the is beyond just the Act is where it is today, and the Minister is has set in place a whole load of work to look at what options may be available. But in terms of where somebody's at cap, then that is a situation with them and their private insurers.
But the private insurers are saying, no, back at you, EQC. I've seen the letter. So Vero say, this is EQC's fault. It is EQC's problem. EQC have to remediate it. You say, we'd love to, but we can't go beyond cap. And it just seems to me a kind of absurd rock and hard place scenario for the homeowner here. What does Georgina Hanafin do once she hits cap?
It is a very, very difficult position that people are in. I absolutely understand that. But I cannot go beyond outside of the Act. And this is the reason that this work is going on, to try and understand what and look at any solutions as to how do we deal with this. I still say it's people to have a conversation with their private insurers. They have that relationship with them. But we as EQC can only work within the EQC Act.
So is the Act flawed? Do you want to say now on Checkpoint that the Act is flawed in this respect?
John, that is not place for me to say.
Why not?
The legislation is the domain of the legislation is the domain of the Minister. The Minister is seeking advice from us in terms of, and all departments, around what is it that she can, what is it can be looked at here and what solutions may exist. And we need to support that work, which we are doing through engineering, through actuarial, everything that we can to support this work to try and get, look at and dealing with the situation that people are in, which is very difficult, and we understand that, but we work within the Act.
Are you hamstrung by the Act? Do you wish you had more power to put things right? When I was a kid, there was I don't know if you were in New Zealand at this time, but there was an appliance store in Wellington called LV Martin, and it used to have a TV ad that said, "It's the putting right that counts." Now, it strikes me that EQC might really want to put it right. Certainly the two EQC representatives in that meeting room yesterday with Georgie Hannafin told her they did, but they keep hitting cap. You've mentioned cap, what, 10 times in this interview? Would you like more discretion, more ability to put it right?
Look, John, we, as a Crown entity, we work within the Act, and that is, that are the parameters that we operate to. In terms of the problem that we're facing here, we are working, with the Minister across other agencies to look at what options are available to deal with this problem. And we, as I've talked already, we've got our engineering resources, our technical people, our actuaries we've got. So I'm trying to put everything I can in terms of working with the Minister and Treasury and the other agencies to try and find a way through this. So we're very focused on that. Until that changes, or till anything comes out of that alters the direction, then we have to work within the Act, I'm afraid. There's no other choice for us. That is the law.
Sid Miller, now we really want to hear from you if you are an ONSALT, particularly one who, as well as the EQC tick of approval, also got a building report. We want to talk to people who said these houses were fine when they weren't. Please get in touch with us. Text us 2101 or email checkpoint@radionz.co.nz.